always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose, never gonna win. Long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin.
Very,
you
very
get
exciting.
out what you put in. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. Oh my goodness. How many weeks now is it, Caroline? How many weeks?
Oh my goodness, we've not got long to go. 6 or 7 weeks and we will all be in Accountex. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Are you in a jungle?
I feel like I am. This is what it's like in the run up to a show like Accountex. You're in a jungle. It's just crazy. But no, this is our fabulous wallpaper in our office in Brighton.
Right. First question. Who are our guests today?
We have got two major celebrities of the accounting world joining us today, none other than Rebbecca Benneyworth and Paul Aplin. They need no introduction. They are incredible, such huge voices that everybody knows very well, and everyone's going to be very excited to hear from. Can't wait. Fantastic.
And right, am I on that speaking list? What else is coming up?
The program is live, but maybe I'll just hold this back until the end of the show to let you know, Ashley.
Oh, come on. Right, I'll see you at the end of the show. Let's bring in the superstars, the celebrities. Caroline, I'll see you in a second. Rebbecca, Paul, thank you so much for joining us today. Lovely to see you. Just in case there's anyone out there that doesn't know who you are, please introduce yourselves. I'll go ladies first. Rebbecca.
Right. Well, I'm an ICAEW chartered accountant. I am a lecturer and writer on a variety of tax matters. I've been lecturing for about 35 years. I've had a practice for nearly 40 years, and I'm based in Stroud in Gloucestershire.
Oh, wow. I grew up in Stroud. What a small world it is. And Paul, what about yourself, sir?
I spent 40 years in general practice in an independent firm in the West Country. And I'm a former president of ICAEW. I sit on the ICAEW Tax Faculty Board, CIOT Council, CFE Tax Technology Committee, HMRC's Admin Burdens Advisory Board, GAR panel, and I advise 4 software companies. Did I say I was retired? I'm retired.
No, hang on. There's no way
you're doing all that stuff.
I was going to say, there's no way you can be retired and still do all of that. That's hilarious. So hang on, we've got.
Oh, it was either playing a lot of golf, and I don't play golf, or doing all that stuff. So
no,
it had to be all that stuff.
And I know that you guys both love tax, don't you? You must do. We've just been having a little chat.
Somebody's got to, haven't they?
Well, yeah, but look, there's what is it? Death and taxes. That's the only two things in life. So you picked the right one. You picked the right one. So you guys are both speaking at Accountex, and I don't think that's up on the thing yet, but we're allowed to let that be said today. So what are we going to be talking about? I'm going to keep going, ladies first. Sorry, Paul. So what are we going to be talking about this year, Rebbecca?
Okay, well, I've got 2 sessions planned. So I'm going to do a tax update. That is actually itself quite a challenge. I was sitting down this morning thinking, why do I feel so under pressure? And I've counted back, and we've had a Finance Act, a budget, a finance bill, and then end of tax year planning. And then about a third of my clients with their actual accounting year end in 5 weeks.
Wow.
And that's why that's turned my hair grey. Look at it.
It was black earlier, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'll be doing a tax update. We've got one more load of announcements to come before Accountex, before the show, because we've got TAM Day in April the 18th, I think it is, where we're going to get some more stuff. And with a bit of luck, we'll get, there's bits of draft legislation that flow from the budget we haven't got yet. We might get some consultation documents on things like finished holiday lettings. So it'll be really good to get in front of an audience and maybe talk about some of the detail of things that people need to know about and are actually, clamoring and asking, do we know this? Do we know that? And the answer is on the whole, no. So that's tax update session, which will just be whatever comes along. And then just looking at my notes, I'm going to be speaking on the tax calc panel, and we're going to be talking about, hang on, an uncertain future for small business clients. And I have absolutely no doubt that in that I'm going to talk about making tax digital. But I'm also, I mean, my practice is pretty much all small business. So I don't have many ordinary, just personal tax clients. And life is really, really tough for them at the moment, with minimum wage rises and, you know, everything going on, and the cost of living for some of them, meaning that their outputs are constrained because consumers aren't spending, but their costs are going up. So it'll be interesting to see what the guys at Tax Calc have got to talk about. Absolutely certain MTD will be in there. And of course, by the date of the show, I will have signed up a client for MTD. And so I might be able to talk about the sign-up process, what it feels like and stuff like that. But that means I'm probably stealing Paul's thunder, because Paul, you'll talk about MTD as well, won't you?
Oh, I'm not going to talk about it now that I know you're talking about it. Actually I am. Do you notice how these things go in phases? For years and years and years, loads of sessions at Accountex about MTD. And then last time, loads of sessions on artificial intelligence, particularly generative AI. And this year, not many sessions at all on MTD. Yet actually, we're only 2 years away from the big impact of MTD for ITSA. So I'm going to do a session with Paul Lodder from Dext. Paul and I do lots of webinars together, and we're going to look at MTD. We're going to try not to look at all the usual stuff. We're going to touch on some of the things that Becky's going to talk about, like the pilot. How do you join it? Why should you join it? Or maybe why should you wait until later? We're going to talk about the new penalty system a bit, because there's a whole new penalty system coming in. We've already seen part of it with MTD for VAT, but it's in a completely different league when it gets to MTD for ITSA. It's a fairer system, but there are far more instances when you can bump into it. And people need to be starting to think about that now. They need to be starting to prepare clients for it. It's a bit of a snowstorm of potential penalties. And I was talking to somebody about it last week, and I said, it's a bit like the number of potholes between my house and the village. The number of potholes is going to increase dramatically for a lot of people. And it doesn't actually matter whether you only hit one pothole or whether you hit 6. It still does something pretty unpleasant to your suspension and generally spoils your day. People need to be starting to think about that new penalty system now. I'd like to think a lot of software developers were starting to think how to use software and technology to make the new penalty system less scary, to kind of get you around those potholes without actually hitting them. But in terms of telling clients what to expect, we've got to start getting them used to this new system now. Basis period reform, how does that interact with MTD? It does. Again, we've got to start thinking about it. And I'd also expect to be covering some of the things that we just don't generally talk about on MTD at all. There's a whole nother side of it that just doesn't get talked about. Everybody talks about quarterly reporting, all that jazz. Yeah, I think Paul and I are probably not going to talk about that at all. People are kind of not quite sick to death of it, but they've heard as much as they want to hear. There's another really important bit. It's the invisible bit. It's what's happening behind the scenes. And it's moving HMRC's taxpayer data off the old legacy systems onto a single new platform. And if that sounds dull, actually it isn't. That's the really exciting bit of MTD, because it means things will be more joined up. It means an individual taxpayer's data is in one place. That means you can give taxpayers a complete view of their data. It means you can start looking at things like pre-population. It means we can start looking at all kinds of really interesting things that can transform the experience for taxpayers. That's the bit that is almost never talked about. So Paul and I are going to talk quite a lot about that. So, I mean, between me and Becky and Paul, we are going to be talking about some of the MTD stuff, but it won't be the stuff that you've heard 100 times before. It'll be a slightly different angle on it.
No, fantastic. And look, my brain's just blown already. How do you guys keep up with all of this legislation change and stuff like that? Have you got someone from the HMRC in your pocket or something?
No, we just lead very boring lives.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you're passionate about it, it's not
boring, is it? No,
it's not. It's really interesting.
And the thing is, it's changing all the time, isn't it? That's the thing. It's changing all the time. It's not like, some jobs, it's the same thing every single day. I don't know if you're making widgets, and stuff like that. But what you're doing is changing. They're bringing in new things. We've got MTD, we've got AI, we've got all the, like you say, all the software, the integration, the API, so that it all works. It's never a dull moment, is it?
And I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. That's why
it's the intellectual stimulation. Yeah, it's the intellectual stimulation, Ashley. I mean, they say you should do these number puzzles and that to keep your brain active. Paul and I have got no need of that, because I have underneath my laptop, I have the Finance Act 2024 with lots of ticks against section numbers, meaning I've read this, I've written about it, I know what it's all about. But it's, again, to me, it's as good as doing a number puzzle in the morning in the Times, which I do. I'm not a crossword person, but it's that challenge of getting your head around it and really immersing yourself in it, so that when you talk to an audience, it's not just telling them that Section 48 says this, it's understanding the impact on them and on their client businesses, and how best to tackle either the compliance side, if it's something you've got to do, or the advisory side. And that, for me, I find absolutely fascinating.
I mean, it's the same for me. It's, you can go out and you can do a brain dump of a load of facts, and you've got people snoring in the front row of the audience. Or you can go out and talk about something that you're really enthusiastic about, that you're really interested in, that probably every time you talk about it, you think of something that you hadn't thought of before, and you go away and look at that. That's why I get a buzz out of it, and it's why Becky gets a buzz out of it as well. Yet every time you talk about something, you learn something new. So the last couple of gigs we did, I came away and ended up writing articles about things that I hadn't even thought about when I walked in, and interactions and links. That it's when you're talking to a live audience and you're seeing somebody nodding in the back row or shaking their head, and you're thinking, why are they shaking that? Yeah, of course, I hadn't thought of that. And that's what makes it fun. You're always learning. It's always new.
Yeah. And that's the thing with the live audience, because someone will throw you a googly of a question. You're like, right, great question. And then sometimes it's more an opinion than a direct answer, and then something you have to go and find out. Do you enjoy those sort of challenges, guys?
Yeah. Well, give you an example at a session we were both at a couple of years ago. Somebody asked a question about failing to notify HMRC that a client had gone over the VAT threshold. And the question was, whose fault is it? Is it the client's for not realizing that they should have told me as the accountant, or was it the accountant's fault for not telling the client that they should keep an eye on their turnover? And I thought, actually, that's not the question that's going through my mind. The question that's going through my mind is, this client was using accounting software. Why didn't the accounting software know that he wasn't VAT registered? And when it saw his turnover getting up towards the VAT limit, why didn't the software say, oi, you've got something you need to do? So for me, it was a technology question, not a question about PI and who was liable for getting it wrong. And the amazing thing is, there was only, I'm not going to name it, but there was only one piece of software that was actually doing that really basic thing. And I think, again, there's a huge challenge for the software market in this. There are basic mistakes people make in their bookkeeping, in their tax, that software could help them to avoid. And it kind of goes back to that point on the new penalty system. There is a pothole avoidance thing that software developers could be thinking about now that will make that new penalty regime much, much easier to navigate. We've got to start thinking about it. We don't want to get 2 years down the road, have lots of angry clients getting points letters and penalty letters and thinking, why did nobody warn me? Technology runs through everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Which brings me on to a great question from Pavel, who's a regular watcher of these shows. Is the new technology providing cost savings in terms of tax administration and simplifying tax calculations?
Yes and no.
Not yet. Not yet.
I mean, I'll give you one big yes. 27 years ago, back in 1997, when my firm started using tax return preparation software for the first time, it was a mark of honor for people in the firm to be able to do a tax calculation by hand. So when we started using software that auto-generated the calculation, you put the data in and it generated the calculation, I had people in the office who were actually checking the calculations to make sure they were right. And generally, when they found an error, it turned out the software was right and the manual calculation was wrong. Wow. That was 27 years ago. That was a big change. But now that's business as usual.
Yep.
How many people currently in practice could honestly sit down and look at a tax calculation that involved earned income, self-employed income, interest, dividends, and get the calculation right, doing it by hand first time?
I know of two people.
I put my hand up. I'd go for the software.
Really? Oh, yeah. Wow.
I think, people instinctively rely on the software now. So we kind of crossed that bridge, but the bridge is always getting longer. There are always new things we're asking software to do. And there are always things it will do well, and there are things it won't do well. But I think we've already taken one absolutely massive jump in confidence. Becky's going to disagree with me.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it from the other end of the telescope, and I think from HMRC's standpoint, I think moving on to the new ETMP, it's called, which is their new hardware system that it's involved in migrating all of the income tax system onto it, and we've already done that. I think that is going to make life easier and simpler and cheaper for HMRC. Unfortunately, and Paul and I are of the same view on this, very often when HMRC are introducing new time-saving measures, they take the staff away before they implement the measures, because they say, oh, this is going to save 10,000 staff. Right, okay, well, we can get rid of them then. And it's not in yet. And I think the experience of a lot of businesses is introducing new systems, and nowadays we do mean IT systems, actually demands a peak, more resource for a while it beds in and everyone gets used to it. But I can see the sunny uplands on the other side of all of this. I do think that particularly having this integrated system. So one of the examples I used about the new system when we get there is for accountants is to know that if your employees are taxed under the construction industry scheme, when you log on to HMRC, you will actually be able to see their construction industry tax as well as everything else about them. And a lot of accountants obviously felt like I did when I heard that. It was like, whoa, that's good. Whoa, that'll be really useful. So I think there will be, but it is going to be quite a while before we get there. I think HMRC will then see benefits. I think we'll see massive benefits as well. And also it's going to take a load of people off the phones who ring up and go, I don't know how much my construction industry tax is. So the whole thing will, and hopefully I'm still in practice by the time we get there. I'm not planning on giving up any time soon, but I signed up to be part of MTD with HMRC in 2015, and I said, I will give you a day a week for 5 years for free, for whatever you need from me, a day a week for 5 years. Where are we? We're 9 years down the line and I'm still there. And some weeks it's, Paul, you and I must probably spend some weeks 3 days in meetings with HMRC, in answering, in giving feedback, in looking at stuff. And it does take up a huge amount of our time, but we both do it because we believe so much in that, we've got to support it. It's got to land in the right place. And anything we can do to help them achieve that is absolutely time well spent. So we will get there. And I know there are a lot of diehards who say, oh, why don't HMRC just give this up? But no, this is absolutely essential. As Paul said, the stuff that people don't talk about, the move on to the new system, rebuilding income tax from the ground up on a new computer are actually really informative, because then accountants start to understand what it's all about. It isn't actually about 4 reports a year. That's a teeny tiny part of it. It's about a much bigger transformational change.
It is. It's the huge change. And, one thing that a lot of accountants have quite rightly grumbled about, I did endlessly, was the new standalone capital gains tax return for disposals of residential property, which you also have to put on your self-assessment return. They're 2 completely disconnected systems. We have to have workarounds. That is absolutely crazy. Once the data is moved from legacy systems onto ETMP, the new platform, everything will integrate in the same place. So there's something that lots of people are unhappy about currently that will actually be resolved by this massive change to the new system. But in terms of the scale of it, it's absolutely huge. For the 2026 tranche of MTD, it's around 800,000 sets of records have to move over to ETMP. For the next phase of it's in 2027, it's around about the same figure. But even then, there'll still be something like 9 million self-assessment records to move over. It's an absolutely huge task, but the things that we'll be able to do when that exercise is completed justify the effort. And it kind of goes back to the song you played us in with. You get out what you put in. You do have to put a lot in to get something out. You can't just wait around for the, well, where's the out then? You got to put in to get out.
Absolutely. Rebbecca, I know you've got to dash, but Donna's just come up with this quick question. I'd love to have been in the room or on a conference call when the HMRC's last. Did either of you have anything to do with it? She'd like to think that you've knocked a few heads together.
I'd love to say yes, but no, absolutely not.
I suspect there's only one person who had anything to do with it, and he's the highest financial office in the Treasury. I would imagine that's where it came from.
Right, before you go, Rebbecca, what are you most looking forward to at Accountex?
Meeting loads of lovely accountants. My favourite bit.
Fantastic. I think there'll be about 10,000 there, so you'll be fine. Thank you very much indeed for coming, Paul. What are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the buzz. There's always that wow moment when you walk through the door, and it doesn't matter how many times you've done it. I remember the first time I went to Accountex, you walk through that door and you think, good grief, I just hadn't appreciated how much software, how many apps, how much stuff there was. And you wander around in a daze, and everybody I've ever taken to Accountex has had that same wow moment. When they walk in. And to be honest, it's not just the first time, it's every time. It just reinforces in your mind how much technology there is, how fast things are changing, and that in itself is why you need to go.
Absolutely. That's a great soundbite, isn't that, Caroline?
I could not have asked for more. Thank you. That was a wonderful way to describe the show.
Paul, Rebbecca, you've been absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for coming along, and I look forward to seeing you in May. Thanks very much indeed. Cheerio.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye,
Cheers.
guys. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, we don't have long enough to talk to experts like that, do we?
Aren't they just amazing? I mean, literally, they blow me away. Every time any words come out of their mouths, they just blow me away. They're incredible. Wow.
I've got a secret for you, Caroline. This was my most nervous show because I've got loads of people coming on. I interviewed Richard McCann the other week and the ladies last week and Nick Elston. But knowing I had these two experts on today, oh my goodness, I know nothing about tax, but aren't they amazing? So thanks ever so much indeed. I know they're in the green room. If you can just disappear if you've got to go elsewhere. That's absolutely fine. Caroline, come on, put me out of my misery.
We need a drum roll. We need a drum roll. But
I've got a guitar.
I don't like to disappoint you on air. No, I'm only joking. Actually, you are in the program and you are doing 2 fantastic sessions. Not one, not two. And in our brand new theatre that is all dedicated to everything to do with branding and exposure and social media. It's going to be amazing. I don't know if you want to introduce what the sessions are.
Well, yeah. So look, the thing is, branding theatre. That's who'd have thought accountants and bookkeepers would be thinking about branding? And here we are. We've got a branding theatre. Yeah. And all that I've been looking through all the speakers. We got some amazing people up there, haven't we?
Oh, it is going to be such a popular theatre. If anyone's got any questions, even if you've not started on your own journey and you just want to know how to make that first step, this is the theatre for you. There are going to be so many incredible experts with some fantastic advice. So yeah, do check out the programme on our website.
Any names you're going to shout about? Who's coming along?
Apart from yours.
Apart from me, yeah.
Well, look, the other celebrity that is going to be in theatre, which I'm very excited about, is Rachel Harris. And I'm sure many people know her. She's an incredible persona. She is a TikTok queen and star, and I can't really think of anyone that's done a more efficient and successful job of branding than Rachel. So she's going to be there talking all about how she's done it and what she does. But I don't know if now's the right time, Ashley, but to introduce another part of Accountex, which we're very excited to announce today, this exclusive.
Is this epic thing that I've been talking about and I haven't been able to mention forever?
You are finally allowed to tell everybody that we have got a LinkedIn lounge at Accountex in partnership with Ashley Leeds.
Oh.
So I'm so excited about this because not only, Ashley, are you speaking at the show on both days, you are also going to be there in person, ready to answer all the questions that people might have, because you have helped so many incredible people build their businesses by using LinkedIn. And I think they can book in 10-minute slots with you and come for presentations on your on the LinkedIn Lounge as well, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. The LinkedIn Lounge, can you believe it? We've been chatting about this forever. and I really thought that I'd have a little square area somewhere, out the way. It's 3 meters by 6 meters square. It's huge. It's absolutely huge.
We know you're going to be packed and you're going to have a long queue of people, but we also have a little bit of experience with a similar area that we had at the show last year, a similar feature, which was with Rachel Harris, and that's the Content Creation Clinic. And you guys are going to be sort of back to back on the show floor. And we know how popular that was last year. Rachel is back. We're so grateful to her. And she's going to be helping people with their social media journey. She's obviously the TikTok queen, which we mentioned. So these 2 fantastic new features at Accountex are just not to be missed.
So we're going to have a pink one and a yellow one. Is that right?
That's it.
Fantastic. And it's right by the cafe as well, right by the branding theatre.
Yeah.
You're not going to miss it. So this is just incredible. Yeah. So my session, I'm talking about content, and then that's the second day at midday, and on the first day, as soon as we open, so 10 o'clock, I have got a panel of just normal accountants, just doing normal stuff, but they are smashing it on LinkedIn. They haven't got huge follower accounts like some of the superstars that we see. They're just normal accountants doing great things and getting known. So I'm going to be dispelling a load of myths and getting them to tell their stories. And each one of them has got something unique about what they do. So I can't wait. And they're lovely people. So that's my 2 talks. It's just gonna be so much fun. And then we've got to introduce who I've got next week.
Oh, now then.
Goodness.
Now then,
so I'll put the slide up, and then you can talk over the slide, because I can't. I don't know. This is just brilliant. Look at, I've called them the linked influencers.
oh, I love that. Very clever. Well, look, we've got Mr. Curly Whirly himself, Dermot Hamlin, who is just sensational. He runs a list of the top 100 influencers on LinkedIn. Everybody's scrambling to be on top of that list. And you've got the likes of Jerry Williams. I mean, come on, she is absolutely famous, and she does an incredible job, and she's going to be speaking along with Hayley Lucas, another incredible linked influencer. I love that kind of phrase. And so next week's show is going to be another one not to be missed, and I can't wait.
And the thing is, what we're doing next week, because Dermot releases his list on the 1st of the month, he's actually going to hold it back for us, and so we're going to have a live reveal on the show.
It's going to be so great.
Yeah,
and we'll have more
absolutely.
announcements as well from Accountex. So more things, more features that we're announcing. So yeah, definitely another one not to be missed.
Absolutely fantastic. Right. Tell me, is there anything else we need to know? What other things have you got up your sleeve, or have we got to wait till next week?
We have now got to wait until next week, I'm afraid, but there is so much more to come. Some really thrilling things. We've already spoken about so many of the other things that we're already doing with our quiet zone at the show. We've got a podcast partner that is going to be on site filming live podcasts. We've got our charity partner, Mental Health UK. We're working with Karma again to plant trees for every attendee, which is so important for our sustainability message. We've got our new Bookkeepers Base Camp, and our program is launched. So go and check it out at accountex.co.uk.
Fantastic. Caroline, always a pleasure. Thanks for popping in. Thank you for breaking that news. I am an excited bunny. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for Accountex. It's gonna be a doozy this year, isn't it?
It's gonna be big.
Fantastic. Thanks everybody for watching. Donna, thank you and Pavel for your questions, and we will see you next week. Cheerio. Bye, Caroline.
Bye.
You get out what you put in, never gonna